Bears had some exciting news this past Monday night as Dan McNeil from the Danny Mac podcast tweeted that his sources have confirmed an early top head coach list by the Chicago Bears for 2025, and it is some big name candidates on it, including offensive coordinator Ben Johnson of the Detroit Lions, defensive coordinator Brian Flores of the Minnesota Vikings, offensive coordinator Joe Brady of the Buffalo Bills, and former head coach Mike Vrabel of the Tennessee Titans. All would be huge upgrades for the Chicago Bears, and it gives them every option for offense, defense, and overall head coach with experience and different personalities. But who's the right choice? I'm here to break that all down. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. My name is Nick Brody, and as always, thank you for tuning in. Now, before I get more into today's show, hit that like button if you like the head coach candidate list so far that's been leaked, along with commenting who you would choose to be the Bears' next head coach out of the four that I'm going through today. And are you a Bears fan, want free Bears news and notifications? Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. And if you do so, you automatically enter to win a custom Chicago Bears jersey of your choice. All you have to do, again, is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment which head coach out of the four you would like to be the Bears' next head coach. Winner will be announced after the next Bears game. So let's go through the list, shall we? The first guy that we all know and really want is Ben Johnson, who is currently the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions and is by far the favorite for Bears Nation. He has been leading a Detroit offense for the last 3 years that has been top in scoring in the NFL in overall offense. A guy that could unlock the Bears very much so is someone we need to consider. The second guy that I want to hit on is Brian Flores, who's currently the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, leading one of the best defenses in the NFL over the last 2 years, bringing a ton of fire, a ton of energy, and also head coach experience. The Bears are definitely keeping their eye on Flores as an opportunity. And then there's Joe Brady, another young offensive mind like Ben Johnson. It's still a strong candidate. Everyone overlooks him, though, because of Ben Johnson. But he's done a solid job with the Buffalo Bills offense, but he does have some big risk behind him, which I'll hit on in a little bit. And then there's Mike Vrabel, former head coach of the Tennessee Titans, leader of men, most head coach experience on this entire list. This guy wants to be a head coach again, and I can see why the Bears are considering him. Let's go through the first guy, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions and the obvious number one choice, as he is everyone who's looking for a head coach's number one choice. Considering Johnson has led a top 3 offense for the last 3 years for the Detroit Lions, he's developed dozens of players that have been good on the Lions and on other teams, and has had an impact on this offensive roster as a whole, clearly respected by his general manager and assistants to help build this unstoppable juggernaut of an offense in Detroit. He had a big game against the Chicago Bears on Thanksgiving where fans got to see what he could bring to the team. We saw trick plays with linemen, for goodness sake, along with moving the chain constantly, scoring, and making opportunities to get open. Bears offense owning time of possession in the second half saved us from potentially getting blown out and kept us in the game, where Johnson was cooking because every time Johnson had the ball, he was constantly going downfield as Detroit only punted one time on Thanksgiving. He clearly was cooking and doing a solid job. Now, the thing is, too, is that with Johnson, he knows the importance of the offensive line. And with that, he could work with Ryan Poles to build the best trenches possible. He would absolutely do a good job at finding ways to use the Bears' top 4 picks, which are in the first 3 rounds, along with spending money in free agency. And guys would be attracted to come to this team because of Ben Johnson as a whole and what he could do for the offense. Going into the second guy of the day is Brian Flores, who is currently the defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings, but does have head coach experience. With the Vikings right now, he has been ranked a top 10 defense over his 2 seasons as the Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator, but he is top 4 this year in nearly every single positive category. During his time as a head coach, though, he was with the Miami Dolphins, where he did 24-25 record, no playoff experience, and no division championships. But his defensive ranking was top 12 every single year during that, and top 5 in least points allowed, which is very impressive, especially with the young Bears defense that we have right now. His offensive rankings, though, not that good. Never broke top 23, which sounds pretty familiar than what Matt Eberflus and Matt Nagy brought. Not saying that he couldn't go out and get a good offensive coordinator to come to the Bears, but he for sure needs to prove during his interview process to leadership who he has in mind and how they can get the job done. The big thing with Flores, too, is that this guy has fire and energy. Guys respect him. His assistants respect him. Players respect him, and they feed off him, and that's why the Minnesota Vikings have such a good defense right now. Kind of reminds me how Lovie Smith used to get things done. serious, effective, and unlocked players. But the big thing for Flores is that he knows all these offenses across the NFC North. And the division is not slowing down anytime soon, and we need to find someone who knows how to beat them. We've lost 11 games in a row to the Green Bay Packers, for crying out loud. We need someone who knows how to beat this team, and Flores has proven that during his time in Minnesota. This is someone new to the list that I want to hit on. And so I joked about on a tweet before that Joe Brady is kind of like the great value Ben Johnson because he's so darn good and overlooked, but he's kind of like a lesser but good offensive coordinator. Let's break down why. He has been leading the Buffalo Bills to have the 10th overall offense from a yards perspective with 355 yards per game, along with 12th in passing with 229.3 yards per game. He's 11th in rushing with 125.7 yards per game, but he has that Bills offense scoring. They're second in the league right now with 30.5 points per game, right behind Ben Johnson and the Detroit Lions. Brady has been an NFL coach for 7 years. When he turned 31, that was his first year being an NFL head coach, which is very impressive. He was the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers for 2 years, where his numbers were middle of the pack, not great. And with a new coaching change in Carolina, ended up getting fired. But then he went to the Buffalo Bills and became their quarterbacks coach from 2022 to halfway through 2023, where then he was promoted to intern offensive coordinator last year, and he did a really good job. And now he's their full-time offensive coordinator, clearly still doing a good job. And the thing is that he moved up quick, but that worries me that he can get burned quick too. He has Josh Allen. He has a top offensive line. He had a great defense, and he walked into all of this in Buffalo, but also with a great head coach. I don't know if Joe Brady can develop players. I don't know if he can address key issues. I don't know if he's going to be able to do what we need him to do like a Ben Johnson could. There's a big risk with this, but it could be majorly high reward if the Bears take it. But the Bears can't do this anymore. They need to get this right this time around. They've been rebuilding this team for 2.5 years. They have a decent roster. They're a few pieces away from completing the puzzle. And Joe Brady, I don't know, is the answer for it, though. But the Bears do have him on their top 4 list and are considering him, as he does bring an effective NFL offense that spreads things out, and we can see that in Buffalo. So something to consider when interviewing Joe Brady, but we'll see what he brings. And then finally, the fourth guy, the most head coach experience and someone I'm excited about, Mike Vrabel, who is currently a consultant for the Cleveland Browns on their coaching staff. He should be their head coach, and they might be having a lot better season with him in that point. The former head coach of the Tennessee Titans, which led them to the playoffs multiple times, would be a great hiring for the Chicago Bears, considering he's great at hiring assistants, an overall alpha coach that leads men and knows how to win on the field. Look at his stats right here. 54-45 record overall, two wins, 3 losses in the playoffs, went to the playoffs 3 times as the Tennessee Titans head coach, 2021 coach of the year, 2-time division champ, and 14 for 26 on challenges. It gets even better. He's led top 5 defenses every single year when he was a head coach of the Tennessee Titans. He knows captain of the Chicago Bears, Kevin Byard, very well, and overall is a good locker room coach. So he would automatically be in with the defense because of Byard. He would be able to teach them quickly and have the assistance of Byard. And this young defense is hungry and would do very well in Vrabel's defensive scheme. My worry is his offense, which are hugely dependent on his coordinators. And I said he's great at hiring them, but if he hires a great coordinator that's only here for 1 year, at least unless it's Thomas Brown, which I hope it is. But if Mike Vrabel came in, kept Thomas Brown could have a huge year and then be considered for a head coach a year after. That means Caleb Williams would have 3 offensive coordinators in his first 3 years, something that the Bears need to find a way to break. But at the same time, if Vrabel is good at bringing in coordinators like he is, I give him full trust and hope he can get the job done.